why have markets been so range bound? I'm going to show you guys a quick glimpse of what we've had in the market the past just 2 days or so, right? And look how poor price action's been, right? We've had a huge sell-off on this day right here. This is for about 50 points to the downside. Now, 50 points isn't even that big of a move in the sense of ES has seen some much stronger volatility. So now I'm pulling us to the 30-minute time frame, and we sort of see that yesterday, this was Tuesday's price action, went nowhere fast. It started to push lower, it failed, it pushed higher, it failed, it pushed lower, it failed. Same thing happened today, right? New York session opened. Even before New York session opened, we started rallying around 8:30, 9 o'clock. We moved up probably about that same 25 points to a supply zone. This is an area we rejected as resistance before, and then we rejected it again today. So we could look to delete. This zone is no longer relevant. And we see this was a pretty nice trade. I actually caught this trade with some of our members in the Bullish Bears community. I do live trade there Monday through Friday. And what we do, guys, is I get on at 8:30 to do some pre-market prep. So at 8:30, I was able to say, guys, hey, listen, you know what? Let's go to the replay mode. Let's look back. See if it'll let me work. Select date. No, let's do select bar. And we'll go to our 8:30 candle. So I was looking at the 15-minute time frame, and my thought was, guys, listen, this area right here, and we'll turn off our volume profile for now too. This area between 62.83 and 62.88 has been a major resistance point on the ES. And even on Monday, it worked as support. Then we broke it, and it started working as resistance 3-4 times, right? A handful of times. So what I was looking for in the pre-market was I was looking for this 15-minute basing to be followed through with a rally candle. And that's exactly what we got. So I wasn't able to get my entry because what I was looking for was a retest back into this broken supply zone for a long position. So I was looking for longs from this zone to target the next supply zone. So you guys see it's not as complicated as I need this initial balance, I need to mark it out, I need to throw my fib up, I need to get the extension. Support and resistance, or supply and demand, however you want to cut it, gives us some basic market structure to give us good levels to watch for, right? Price levels that historically markets have reacted to. Historically, markets are reacting here, 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 and here. The next point of interest would be up here. If we look left, we have an area of resistance 1, 2, 3 times. So it would only make sense that when price moves back up there again, we're going to find that same selling pressure, right? Because we look for markets to repeat themselves. We look for zones to hold. And that's what's so great with things like supply and demand, support and resistance is instead of taking trades on the 5-minute down here, right? So New York session opened right here. We rallied. We didn't really get a good pullback entry, and that's okay. When we notice we don't have a pullback entry, then we want to be a little patient and wait to see if any sellers want to end up trapped up here. Because once we see selling pressure come in, now I also had this purple level was I called a BSL, that's a buy side liquidity. Now that was a pivot high from Monday morning, right? So Monday's price action in the morning, it was a pivot high. We swept that. It was also a pretty strong level on Bookmap as well. So I'm going to show you guys, this is the ES on Bookmap. When we traded into it right over here, look how weak the buying pressure got. So we had really aggressive buying pressure moving higher. Then we had one last big buy bubble, but we failed to move higher. So this is where we sort of speak about how volume and price needs to move together. While we were moving higher in price on this run up, volume was also moving higher. Once we started hitting this peak at our price level in a supply zone and we had a big buyer, somebody was absorbing this, or else we would have continued. If nobody was there to absorb all these buyers, right? So for every buyer, there's a seller and vice versa. They absorbed the Aspire and was able to hold it as a strong wall. And when we zoom in, we see right here, 63.15. This was 128 on the ask. So there was a passive seller waiting to get filled to short ES at that 63.15. So with that information, once we started rejecting, that's when I was able to confidently say, okay, guys, I want to take this short position. We have a few confluences right now. We have our supply zone. This isn't just a supply zone. This is a supply zone that has proven to be a very strong area of resistance. Not only that, but it's a supply zone that has an area that we have a pivot, which is our buy side liquidity. And last time we had a buy side liquidity in this supply zone, look what happened. We had a big sell-off. So it's giving me the same setup in the same zone. I'm going to take that. 10 out of 10 times, right? That's something we want to really look for because it doesn't happen every day, but it happens enough that as traders, we want to be looking for it because it's a consistent system that we could trade with.